lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. Most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, you guys, because at the end of the day, I want to put the right information out there from the people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I would proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. I got a very special guest who's coming back on. He's my insurance guy. He's out here to break down a bunch of shit, so I don't have to, because he's in it. He's in the day-to-day. He knows a hell of a lot more about insurance than most people that I've spoken with, and we're going to break down some articles on that. But before I do that, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And most importantly, you get paid to move this, right? Like, that's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. So you can go on to VHub, you snag a trailer, they're going to pay you to move that trailer, and then you load that trailer out as a power-only move. Dude, you can make some serious coin doing this. So what they got right now, you guys, is they got Staunton, Wisconsin, heading over to Milton, Ontario, and you get $525 US per trailer on that, you guys. They got like 94 trailers over there. They got a bunch out in San Diego, you guys, going to multiple locations, and they range between anywhere between $1,100 and $2,200 per trailer, you guys. Like, yes, that's per trailer. They got roll-up doors as well as swing door drive-ins going to Texas, Ohio, Mass, New Hampshire, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio, and Tennessee and Texas. And then finally, you guys, they have Paragould, Arkansas, going up to Mississauga, Ontario for $736 US, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Zach Lonergan and Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. If you want to go out there and, make a little bit extra money and provide some sales solutions for all your shippers out there. But let me see here. John Paradise watching over on YouTube. Let's go, Chris. Let's get on here and move some freight. Amen to that. Flo, good morning. April Maroney, let's get it. Thanks for tuning in. Cole, it is a great day to be a freight broker. You are right, sir. And we're going to lead in with an article on that actually right away. But without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Valley Trucking Insurance Zone, Cam. What's up, dude? What's up, man? How are you? I'm doing good, man. I'm glad you're coming on here on more of a regular cadence now. And I'm trying to do that, right? Like, I'm trying to, I'm establishing that with a couple of people who are like, dude, I'll jump on like once a month, right? And, because again, like, I'm building a freight brokerage, right? Like, I'm brokering freight, I'm cold calling, I'm doing all this shit, I'm doing all this media stuff. And, there's a ton of articles that are coming out all the time about finance, about insurance, about, like, what are the issues for drivers, truck parking. And, like, again, it's like, even if you're talking about VHub, like, how do you utilize that to make some additional revenue? Like, I'm sure all of your clients are out there looking for that. Same thing with my friends over at Green Screens, right? Like, providing the most accurate pricing data that's out there to help you grow your business and everything. And, because again, like, I use these guys inside of my own company, and that's like why I partner with a lot of my advertisers. And, again, it's just like, they know that the tech side of the industry, they see where things are coming and going. And, it's like, that's why it's like, I'm in the freight world, right? Like, that's where my day, that's my jam when it comes down to sales, ops, everything else. That's why I have that on my wheelhouse, but that's not everything. And that's why I love having guys like you and others come on who are like, dude, let's talk about the shit that I know. Cause you're in insurance 24/7, 365, brother.
Yep. I would actually say I'm in the transportation industry, man, because I'm just like you. So shout out to you on the takeover with all the freight waves, pretty much, and like getting the content out there, doing your thing day in and day out. And I learned so much from listening to you, and kind of the connections and introductions that we've done together have been amazing. So, because I try to be more than just the insurance transaction, obviously, to my clients. I know you know that. And so I'm trying to bring value in any way possible, whether that's in the form of introductions or money or opportunities or whatever it could be. So the articles you were going to chat about today obviously lead in and tie into a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm stoked to kind of dive into some of those.
We're going to try to get to all three, but usually
probably two.
We're lucky to get it on there. Tracy St. Clair, good morning on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Zena, hello, good morning to you. All right, dude, let's get into the first article. All right, we could bullshit for the next 20 minutes. Let's get into the first article because this one came out yesterday. This is out of FreightWaves, and it's court enters huge win for freight brokerage industry. Let me see here. I always love these articles that lead in with this. The views expressed here are solely those of the author and do not necessarily represent the views of FreightWaves or its affiliates. I always like when the articles say that because that means that there's going to be some shit out there. And again, like that's why the views expressed by me are of me. And, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. But anyways, the freight brokerage industry, and it's a good article when it shouts out to the singer Meatloaf. 1977 power ballad, 2 out of the 3 ain't bad. When the U.S. Court of Appeals in the 7th Circuit became the 3rd federal appellate court to consider the extent to which negligence claims against brokers are preempted by federal law. The 7th Circuit entered a long-anticipated and highly favorable unanimous decision in favor of the brokerage industry, holding the negligence claim against freight brokers as preempted. It joined the 11th Circuit in a proper reading of the scope of the federal preemption, thereby making an unfortunate ruling by the 9th Circuit last year in the Miller versus C.H. Robinson, now a minority position. While the decision only governs federal courts in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, it naturally provides highly persuasive authority for courts elsewhere. And it goes into factual and procedural background. In the Ying Yi versus Global Trans, a shipper tendered a load to Global Trans, a freight broker, requesting that it arrange for the transportation of the load from Illinois to Texas. Global Trans retained an unrelated motor carrier, Global Sunrise, to perform the actual transportation. While transporting the load, Sunrise was involved in a crash that resulted in the death of Sean Lin. Lin's wife, Ying Yi, sued various parties, including Global Trans, for wrongful death in federal courts in Illinois. The lawsuit against Global Trans rested on 2 theories. First, Yi alleged that Global Trans was negligent in selecting and using Sunrise as the motor carrier for this load because Sunrise allegedly had an extensive history of safety violations. Second, she alleged that Global Trans was vicariously liable for Sunrise's negligence because it supposedly exercised too much control over the motor carrier. The district court ruled in favor of Global Trans with respect to vicarious liability claim, finding that Yi could not establish a genuine issue of material fact with the result to the alleged control that Global Trans supposedly had over Sunrise. The district court also entered judgment of the pleadings in favor that Global Trans with respect to her claim of the negligence against Global Trans, finding that the claim was preempted by the FAAA, Federal Aviation Administration Authorization Act. And she appealed with respect to the dismissal. Dude, so let's talk about this, man, because this is like, there's a lot of, first and foremost, brokers, when you're talking to carriers, you got to be very fucking careful about what you do and do not say to them. Like go back and look at, I'm not picking on C.H. Robinson here, but like they're in the news a lot for some of this shit, and some justified, some unjustified, and everything's always hindsight, right? Hindsight's always 20/20 in those situations. And, people make mistakes at the end of the day, right? I'm not a rah, sunshine and gun drops. Like people unfortunately get hurt critically, fatally in everything in this world. And, people are going to make mistakes, but when you're looking at some of this stuff, man, how do you, because again, like you would be representing that carrier, hypothetically representing that carrier in that situation. How do you notice some of these, like when they're talking about like negligence claims, like with, safety and all that other shit?
Yeah. And I think it all ties back into a couple things. One, you and I have chatted about this in the past, especially on the broker side, is the due diligence, right? With these tools that are out there to actually look at, and the data that's available to look at these carriers and their performance. So if their safety ratings are shit, their vehicle maintenance is shit, you can see all that clearly through FMCSA and the tools that are available. So it's kind of vetting the right people. And at the same time, though, if there is something tragic that happens, let's say there's an incident and there's fatalities involved, it kind of ties in with another article that you're going to talk about. Hopefully we'll get to, but if something happens, they're going after the deepest pockets and everybody involved. So you as the broker are going to get drug into that and you are going to get named. Now, I'm curious how the insurance would have responded there. And from what I've seen, a couple things would have come into play. Your contingent auto liability would have potentially stepped in. And then the second piece could have been the errors and omissions policy, because you chose the professional company to move the freight. Typically that'd fall more in if there's a specialized freight that need to be moved, you picked a carrier XYZ to move it that supposedly had experience. They didn't, they hauled it. They then ended up having an issue with the load. Well, you picked the wrong person. That's more of a professional exposure. The contingent auto liability, however, would probably respond in the fatality there, because it would go up the chain for liability. Now, here's the great part. And I know you've chatted about this in the past, and I don't know, have you had attorneys on?
Against my better judgment. No.
So anyways,
yes, I have
good attorneys and good contract structure are really what's going to protect the freight brokerage in this instance, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to kick back down all the liability to the carrier. The broker has no control over the carrier. They don't have physical equipment there, is what the article is referencing. It's like, hey, we don't have control over the safety. We don't have control over the vehicles and all the stuff that happened and occurred. Therefore, we have no liability in this claim, is essentially what happened. Great news. They won there in those 3 states, which is going to be a little bit of a domino effect and start rolling into other venues. And then it's going to get referenced more, and the more wins and victories in the different venues across the country, the better. Also take note too, as you start to see the trends that are favorable for the freight industry, brokers in particular, you're going to want to look at setting up your headquarters in some of those venues. So just something to think about. There's
a list, you guys, of like, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points from in this article. This is why I want you guys to, and then carriers too, like, you're out there listening to this, I would want to read this as well, because this directly affects you. But there's like 8 talking points of there about what the 7th Court provides. They provided a comprehensive and intellectually impressive analysis of the scope of this preemption. And it's like the safety exception, like you were saying, does not save a plaintiff's negligence claim against a broker. Congress uses the term motor vehicles without a reference to brokers, coupled with the absence of any reference to brokers or brokerage services. And then it also says Congress failed to reference any kind of safety exception, which expressively governs freight forwarders and brokers. And, the federal regulation of freight brokers, to the extent that it exists, is focused on economic and commercial issues rather than safety issues. I would always argue that it just depends on the attorney you hire in a lot of these things. But, because to me, like, I catch a little bit of shit for saying this, and frankly, I don't give a shit. As a broker, you need to have insurance. Like, I don't care what, like, I know it's not required by law, because somebody who's like, oh, it's not required. I don't give a fuck if it's required by law or not, because look at this lawsuit. In every lawsuit that brokers are brought into, is you are legitimately going to be drug in here no matter what. And if they find that you didn't do something that could have prevented this, depending on how your business is structured, you'll fucking lose everything. They don't care. They will come after you. And they do, like, again, they don't care that you had a bad day. They don't care that it's not required by law. If you don't have your shit in line as a business owner, it will bankrupt you. It will literally bankrupt you. So I know that it might not be required by law. And I'm not telling you how to run your business here at all. I'm just saying, if you are going to operate in this industry, or if you're going to operate as a business, you better have insurance at 100%. And then this is another reason why I think, like, like the whole back and forth on dispatch services and everything else, and how all of that stuff. This is why I feel like, because again, my biggest issue is if I'm a broker associated with this, and then it turns out that the dispatch company did something, but they, essentially they don't have anything on record with the DOT, FMCSA, or insurance, they're gone, right? And then who gets drug? And then it turns into me and my business and everything. So it's like, that's why I feel like, listen, as a lot of it, if you want to, raise the standards, raise the requirements that are across the board, I feel like every broker should be required by law to have insurance. And I feel like if you're going to be a dispatch company out there as well, you need to be fucking regular. I'm the most against government regulation probably out there, but if you're going to operate in this capacity and you're going to be involved in this transaction at all, you need to be fucking monitored and regulated, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you want to have protection in your corner too. And the more involvement, as you kind of alluded to at the beginning of this conversation, is the more you say, the more you control, the more you do or dictate within the process and transaction, the more exposure you have. Because it takes a good attorney to figure out or find something to spin it in a way that's against you, where it's like, hey, this broker had negligence here. All it takes is for one person to say, yep, have it stick. And then boom, if you don't have insurance, yeah, like you said, you're kind of screwed. So
yeah.
Unless you got a big bank account, maybe you got millions of dollars sitting there ready to go spend. But
shit,
probably not.
I'm just waiting to get that Joe Rogan Spotify contract. Then we can
Right.
talk, right? Let me see here. Lewis, Claudio, let's go. Dylan Turner, anytime, brother. Thank you. Zach says insurance has become the largest driver of safe transport in my world. Know as much as I can about the coverage is crucial for the business. Sonny Sharma, let's go. The insurance guru Cam. Dude, you need to get a fucking shirt that says that. Buenos dias, Adolfo. Great topic, he says. Lewis Claudia says a lot of big words today. Lewis, I went to public school, man. I can't, I don't use that big of words.
We're just reading what someone smarter than us said. That's really all that's
happening. Dude, that's literally. The good thing is, brother, like Cam said, I'm just reading an article of somebody who's a lot smarter than me wrote. So I'll put the link up there as always, you guys. So you guys can go in there and Google, and then just Google what all the words.
Chat GPT.
Yeah. But that article, you guys, freight waves, and it's court enters huge win for freight brokerage industry. I would highly recommend you guys going over and reading this one, because
it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's a huge win for the freight industry and brokers. So you guys should be happy about that. It's going to hopefully set a trend, and it leads, I think, into the next article. So whatever one you want to uncover, I think we can.
Which one should we go? Should we do nuclear lawsuit against truckers?
Sure. Yeah, and then if we get to the safety one, because I mean they're all hand in hand. It's all the stuff we talk about from the carrier side to the broker side. It all ties in.
I know this just aligned perfectly this week with I knew Cam was coming on the show. I was like, I saw these articles, but you guys, again, this one's from ttnews.com. Nuclear lawsuits rise against truckers, and a new study by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Jesus, there's how many government agencies do we fucking have? Anyways, found out that the trucking in America is under siege by litigation. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Verdicts in trucking accident cases accelerated in size starting in 2000s, but have skyrocketed over the past 10 years. Moreover, with inflation of verdicts and settlements, the search for deep pockets is expanding, and the circle of potential defendants is widening. A review of 154 litigation verdicts and settlements from June 2020 to April 2023 revealed a statistical mean plaintiff awards of $27.5 million and a statistical mean award of $759,000 for settlements. The rise occurred despite a declining rate of fatal crashes. At the same time, between 2000 and 2020, the rate of fatal crashes decreased from 2.23 to 1.47 per 100 million large trucking miles traveled, a drop of 34%. In other words, even though trucking is getting safer, verdicts are getting bigger, and that's a problem. What are your thoughts on that?
It's nothing new. I mean, it's something I've been talking about for years, and it's something that we take a huge stance on for education for our clients and the people that I actually work with on the day-to-day. The other article, we probably won't have time, but it basically addressed and talked about safety. It was the gist of the article, and you can go to the link if you put it up.
Yeah.
But
I'll just tell them right now, just in case the other article that Cam's referencing, you guys, is from fleetowner.com, and then safety should be a priority every day. I will put the link up there on YouTube as well as the.
And then it might even be worth uncovering on a later episode where you and I tie it all in. But essentially, what's going on, and it's nothing new. The attorneys in certain venues, you look at Florida, Texas, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, California, have adopted this reptilian theory to basically persuade the jurors to invoke emotion, where they kind of put their family members in the shoes of the quote unquote victims or whoever was involved in this accident, even if the trucking company wasn't at fault. and they're starting to just rise these claims way up. You know, you saw $27 million is what they're trying to get. Now they're paying out $1 million or more. There's plenty of cases where they paid out multiple millions of dollars. Now, going back to the brokerage article where they were trying to tie in negligence for the safety and the performance of the carrier, that all matters, because when you go to court, your hiring practice matters. Did you do a drive test? It matters. Did they not perform well? Did you coach and educate them? Do you have regular safety meetings? Do you have good maintenance program in place? Do you have safety management? But there's all these things that if you can button up on your side, it makes you a lot more defendable come court, because if you're just going off DOT standards or FMCSA standards, excuse me, it's not that good, right? It's going to get picked apart. It's going to be easy to punch holes through in court. You know, if you're the owner and you're trying to hire people and do this and run safety and train over here and hold people accountable and broker freight, like if you're trying to do everything at once, you can't do anything well. So I'm a huge proponent of, if you don't have either the internal resources, finding companies to partner with that can take over certain segments of your business to help strengthen that and come in and put in process, procedure, handbooks, guidelines, trainings, all the things that I try to help my clients do. Because then when you get to court, we package it up, make it look real pretty, and like, look, these guys are best in class. We've done this. Here's our hiring process. Here's everything that we've done. Yeah. No stone unturned. So there is no negligence on us. Unfortunately, accidents do happen. We all know that, but they are looking for those people that are going to be easy prey. And unfortunately, I think the perception of the public has turned a little bit in favor of trucking recently, obviously through COVID and some of that we have talked about. But it's still negative, and it's looked at as a rolling ATM, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, because you know, in this article, I want to point this part out. Is, you know, again, this isn't a sales pitch or anything for anybody, but it says, in a concerning trend, the study found that trucking fleets are reducing their insurance coverage as the cost of insurance goes up. And then it says, though it may be tempting to discard the mean numbers and focus more on the median, trucking companies and insurers alike must be aware of those extraordinary high dollar verdicts and settlements, despite an improved public perception of the industry, like you were saying there. And although it took some time for jury trials to ramp up again after the pandemic, somewhat limiting the available data, the review suggests that trucking's improved public perception is not translated to a more reasonable litigation environment. And, you know, I just want to point that out, you guys, because it's like, I'm not using actual factual data on numbers here when it comes down to cost savings in regards to your insurance policy. This is all hypothetical, but I think if you're looking at a way to save, you know, $1,500, $2,000 a year on insurance, as a business owner myself who is bootstrapping everything, I get the allure of that. But are you working with your insurance agent to actually see what your policy says? And Cam and I have talked about that a lot on his appearances on this show. It's like, you need to have a comprehensive conversation about what everything fucking means, because at the end of the day, like, I get why people don't want cameras on their stuff. Like, I understand, but again, as a business owner, if you own a fleet of 5 trucks, at bare minimum, you need to have outward facing cameras. How much of your life could be saved, not only your driver's lives or whatever, like lawsuits, if you had outward facing cameras that proves that you weren't negligent, right? That proves that it wasn't your fault. And that's like, as a business owner, I would want to invest in those safety features on my vehicles. If I owned a fleet of trucks, or one day when I do own trucks and everything, you better bet your ass I am going to have those things in place to ensure that if I'm not at fault, it's easily proven that I'm not at fault. And then back to your insurance. Are you looking to save $100 a month? And then that ends up, that's the one thing in the lawsuit. They're like, well, you know what? Your insurance can now reject that. And now you're personally liable. And you got to sell off your entire business to pay off this one lawsuit because you essentially wanted to save $100. And now, again, that's a complete arbitrary number. I've made that up. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I just want to put that into perspective as you're going out there, because as somebody, again, who bootstraps everything, I understand the point of looking at your P&L and seeing, where can I save? I don't think insurance is the best area to look right away. Look at other things. Are you paying for the same service 4 times from 4 different companies? Because I identified that in my P&L, that I signed up for a bunch of shit, Cam, and I'm like, it's all does the same stuff. and then I haven't used it in fucking 7 months. Why am I paying for it?
Yeah. And I mean, people want instant gratification, right? And unfortunately, with advertising and stuff, people look at insurance as a commodity. You got to purchase, it's a necessary evil. Obviously, you want to buy it with hopes that you never use it, but you don't want to find out that you, quote unquote, saved money in the event of an accident, and then it actually didn't save you money. It cost you money, whether it's in the form of towing, whether it's in the form of cargo coverage that a load got rejected, but oh, guess what? My policy didn't cover that. Weird. Or there's a bunch of things that come into play. And there's actually incentives too. I've got programs that literally give you money or assist or give you like reduced rates for upgrades to equipment, technology, camera integration, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's so many different things available that you just need to talk to your agent. Hopefully everybody here would have an agent. It's real tempting to go direct, quote unquote, buy your insurance yourself, and you start clicking buttons. Price goes up, price goes down, price goes up. You start doing that. But keep in mind, when you do that, you're now a direct client of them. So do they have your best interest at heart when it comes claim time? Or do you have an advocate fighting for you that understands the industry and the contracts and the language that can help maybe point out some things, right? Or assist you in a claim? There's all kinds of stuff to talk about. And I don't want to do I'm not trying to promote myself on that, but it's just questions that you need to think about when you're talking to your agent and professionals that you trust. So,
dude, I agree with that, Cam. And again, like, I am very libertarian in my viewpoints on the fact of I don't want the government to fucking know anything about me at all. I understand that allure, but as you see things changing, then like, I don't even think that they're changing anymore. I think they've changed. Like, I think it's very much an attack on trucking companies, very much an attack on them, right? And furthermore, again, what are you doing to protect your business? Because that's your investment, right? Like, you're not just, and my man Adam Wingfield talks about this. You're not just a driver anymore. You are a business owner. You are an entrepreneur, and you need to treat your operation as such. And I get it, right? Like, I understand that things cost money. I don't come from fucking money. I don't have a golden parachute. If I don't hunt, I don't eat. But that being said, I need to strategically invest in protecting the integrity of my investment. And I think you need to look at those alternatives to save yourself, because literally that's what it's going to boil down to. And then I would all but guarantee, and heaven forbid, I hope none of you who listen to this show are ever in this position. Let me be very, very clear. But if it's your company that's getting sued one day, and then you're looking at that invoice after you just get fucked on a lawsuit, and you realize, man, if I would have spent $1,500, this probably could have all been avoided, because it was he said, she said, your word against mine. And you know what? There was some investigative work that came and showed that, was questionable, that maybe you didn't hit your brakes when you said you did. But if you had cameras, it would have showed that the person fucking cut you off and caused that. I think everybody's going to take a comprehensive look at their operation at the time and been, fuck, I probably should have done that. And again, I hope to God none of you are ever in that position. But the reality is, you guys, is I live in the real world. I don't live in fucking sunshine and gum. What was it? Rainbow land? Is that what they say on the campaign? You can't make me live in rainbow land.
Right.
I don't live in that. And I would argue that everybody, if you're ever faced with that, is going to be like, I should have fucking done it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Those are good articles. I recommend everyone check them out. They all tie in hand from the moment you hire. Every process you do matters, and it doesn't, or it never happened if it's not documented, right? If you talk to a driver, if you talk to your driver about something, but you didn't document it, guess what? It never happened.
Yeah. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
So just some little things, little tweaks that people can make to just make themselves better and defend themselves. So,
dude, I wish this could be like a weekly thing, Cam. I wish you could just come back every fucking week and jump on this show.
Let's do it. Let's set up. We can do a series on it. People don't like insurance, so your viewership might come down a little bit.
I don't like lawyers either, but I fucking have them come on the show.
That's true. That's true.
It brings benefit to people.
No, and I appreciate you, man. And I think what you're doing it's fucking awesome. So I love supporting you in any way I can, way, shape, or form, and give back any way I can. So
I appreciate that, brother. But that's going to be it for today, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. And you guys, tomorrow is Q&A day. All right. For sales and operations related questions for the transportation industry. I can't answer all of your guys' questions about some of the shit I get DM'd because it's not fucking relative to it. But For those of you who sent me those DMs this week, I will answer them on the show. I just, as a business owner and somebody who's trying to build their dream, I don't have time to fucking respond to everything, but I will answer them all on the show. So you bring the Qs, I'll bring the A's on Fridays. That's going to be it, you guys. And as always, if you guys got value in this, subscribe and share the show, you guys. If you're watching it over on YouTube, subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this replay on iTunes or Spotify, do the same thing. Rank it, you guys. Get it out there, because if you see value, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.